Hey guys, Christina here and welcome back to my channel. We're finally done with Inktober. I can't express how happy I am. That thing almost killed me, but I'm going to talk about this later on in this video. I wanted to do one last thing that is kind of inspired by ink, and I think after that we're gonna go back to like the normal types of videos that I usually do when it's not Inktober. But if you've been with me for a little while, you know that I got this set of Winsor & Newton inks and I've used them in my last 3 videos, and the main goal of me getting that set was to learn how to use it for skin tones. And I did share with you some of the drawings that I've created with those inks. I've done some more practice that I haven't really shared with you, but basically, to get the colors that I really want, I need to dilute the inks a lot. So that got me thinking, if you've been here for a while, you might remember that I did a Crayola challenge a little while back, and in that challenge, I used the markers the way that they are, just like a normal marker for one drawing, and then I did the same drawing, but this time I diluted the markers with some water, and that made them feel more like watercolors. So a lot of times people compare Crayola markers, which are water-based markers, to alcohol-based markers, be it Copics or H.I.T or whatever, and I feel this is a bit unfair. So I feel like maybe comparing them to the inks is a bit more fair, because you can essentially do pretty much the same things with both. So I wanted to test my theory today, and I prepared a little drawing. So it's a very simple thing. It's just like a profile of a girl, and I wanted to have a lot of skin area because a lot of the times people do complain that Crayola is not that great for skin colors. So I just mirrored the image, and I'm gonna do one half of the drawing with Crayola markers, diluting them with water, and then I'm gonna do the other half of the drawing with my normal Winsor & Newton ink. And I think that might be beneficial for some of you. Like, first of all, it's a fun experiment that I want to do for myself, but second of all, if you're not really ready to invest in colored inks, and you already have these guys laying around, you can try the technique, see how you like it, and maybe make up your mind going from there. So I'm going to start with the ink first, and then I'm going to move to the Crayola markers, and I really hope you guys enjoy my little experiment. Okay guys, so let's start with the ink drawing first. What I do when I use my inks is I grab the color straight out of the ink bottle and I put it on a palette. And the colors that go onto this palette, I don't mix together on the palette itself. I would grab colors with a clean brush, and I would mix them on a plate, and that way I can keep my original colors that I placed on the palette clean, and I can use them for mixing later. So I would mix a color that's quite a dark, intense color, and I would apply that to the areas of the face that I feel should be the darkest. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to use that same color that I mixed on the plate, but this time I'm going to add a little bit of water to it, so that will make it a lighter shade of the color that we use for those dark areas. And I would use this as a all over the face type of color. And then depending on what I want to do, sometimes I would grab yellow or green or blue, but anyways, I would grab a color from my palette, so that's the clean color that hasn't been mixed. I would grab that and I would dilute it with some water on the plate, and I would add this to specific areas of the face. Then when it comes to the hair, I usually do the opposite thing. When it comes to hair, I like to start from light to dark, opposed to when I work on skin. When I work on skin, I start from dark to light. So with the hair, I'm going to lay down just a flat color, a really sort of like a color that's not really intense. And then I'm going to use like a concentrated ink straight out of the bottle. I would use that for adding details onto the hair. And that's what I did for this drawing. I kept it very simple. You can be very detailed with ink. I personally don't feel comfortable doing this yet, and I'm quite happy with the way I'm using my inks so far. But I haven't had them for that long. And then for this drawing, I just added a black background to keep everything simple and to keep the main focus on the face, because that was the whole point of this video. So when I use the Crayola markers, I get a clean plate and I would just scribble with the marker onto the plate. Then I would start mixing colors again on the plate, testing what kind of colors I'm coming up with, and then I'm going to start doing the same thing that I was doing with the ink. I start with the darker areas and I go from there and go lighter. Now the only kind of negative thing that I can say about the performance of the Crayola markers is that you can't really get the color to be super intense. I really tried, even when I used the tiniest bit of water, it still wasn't a dark, really like intense color, especially when it comes to skin. I'm happy with this. I don't see it necessarily as a negative thing, but I know some people might not be too happy with that. But I feel like the skin turned out great. Then for the hair, again, I did the same thing that I did for the ink portion. I started off with just the base color, and then I tried to add darker shades. Unfortunately, with the markers, it was kind of very difficult to build the color to the intensity of the color that you can see on the right. But again, you know, for me, that's not necessarily a problem. I still think that overall it looks very good. It was very easy to work with the markers. It's a bit like cleaner than to work with inks because, you know, you see me when I used the inks, I'm kind of like, oh, I need to have my inks on my palette and I want to mix them on this plate and whatever. With the markers, it was easy. It was just one plate. You scribble, you know, the ink that you want out, and that's it. There is not waste really. But anyway, that's what I did, and let's review the drawings and see how they turned out in the end. So I really quickly wanted to talk about the final result from using the inks and the Crayola markers, and I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions with you. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. I was not sure. I thought that this experiment might be a disaster or it might be a great success. And I feel like this is a very successful thing that I've done here. So, you know, straight away you can tell that, you know, there is a difference. Definitely there is a difference. And the colors on this side where I use the ink are a lot more intense. And then the colors that I used when I was using the Crayola markers, they're just not as vibrant, as the ones over here. Now, having said that, if I started with the Crayola markers and I knew that these are my limitations and I can't really go any brighter when I dilute them with water, I could have adjusted the colors and the intensity of the colors that I used for this part of the drawing. So, I mean, performance-wise, I think in a lot of ways they're very similar, and just because this looks more vibrant than this doesn't mean that you can't tone this down to a point where you'll be able to achieve those colors. However, unfortunately, at least I couldn't make the Crayola markers be more intense than this, and I really tried. I barely used any water for this. I used just enough water to be able to like move the color across the page and like to be able to pick it up with my brush from the plate that I was using. But I think it's gorgeous final result here with the Crayola markers. I'm very, very impressed, especially with that area of her face right here. I think it's really gorgeous. It's if you remember in the video, I tried to add this shadow in this area to sort of mimic the shadow that we have going on here. And it looked fine while it was wet, but then as it started to dry, the gray color sort of pushed the fleshy, peachy color away, and it created a really cool sort of watercolor look. So I'm very pleased. I think a lot of people are looking for that sort of effect in their art, and I feel with a little bit of practice you can go a long way with these markers. I'm really impressed. I really like the look of this. I almost like it more than I like this. And it's just, you know, it's the same drawing, but you can see how just by changing the materials that I used to color it, it can go into kind of different style. So overall, I'm very happy, very pleased with this little experiment that I did. And I kind of want to use Crayola markers now. Like, I can't believe that I'm actually enjoying them so much. But this was just a quick fun thing that I wanted to do to sort of see how they compare to other mediums that you would use with water. And I think the results speak for themselves. I feel like this is actually pretty gorgeous. It's not perfect, and maybe if I had more practice using the Crayola markers it could have been better, but overall I'm very happy. I hope you guys liked today's video, and let me know if you've ever tried doing anything like this. Let me know what you think about this. I'm kind of mind blown, but maybe for other people it's not as impressive, but to me it is. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I have a lot more fun videos in store, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.